welcome to my channel. This is Dosha with DoshaDreamsTarot, and this is going to be actually a little bit more of a kind of sharing some personal, how do I put this, personal challenges and some of the things that have been shown to me recently to help with these types of challenges. And I'm just gonna kind of talk to you guys a little bit. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for being here. And if you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for being a part of this little community that we're creating and being so supportive and kind. And it's really fun to interact with you guys. So thank you for interacting with my videos. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share some stuff that is actually a little bit challenging for me to share, and I was kind of nervous about making this video, but Spirit is inspiring me to share it with y'all. And I think that hopefully if you resonate with this, that this is somewhat helpful, you know, and if anything, it's just, you know, sharing personal challenges of mine, and you know, maybe it'll help you feel a little bit less alone, especially because for those of us who do channeled readings and tarot and give advice and things like that, it can kind of feel sometimes like we're, you know, a little bit removed from our audience, and that somehow we're more spiritually elevated and, you know, everybody else is looking to us for assistance and guidance and whatnot. That, you know, that's not necessarily entirely true, considering that we're all human. We all have our struggles, our hangups, and the things that we're working through and healing, and that we all have innate talents and abilities within us that are valuable to others. And so this video is really to share with y'all some of the ways in which I struggle, you know, and the things that I do to try and pull myself out of a tailspin and, you know, and really try and dig deeper and address what's going on in order to learn more about myself and to be able to continue to heal and grow so that I can be, you know, the best that I can be, basically, and to try and fulfill my purpose and stay on track, right? So this is really to share with you guys some of the ways that I struggle and the things I struggle with. And I think they're pretty universal, and it may be helpful for you to hear from somebody who, you know, is building a platform for sharing, you know, advice with others and spiritual guidance to, you know, kind of hear a little bit more about me and yeah, so it's a little bit vulnerable. It's a lot of bit vulnerable, but, you know, y'all, I think if you know, if you watch my videos and you kind of have gotten to know me a little bit, then you can, you know, I'm pretty vulnerable in general, and I do share some of my personal journey on here, but this is, I think, the things that I'm a little bit ashamed of or embarrassed by, and I think those are the things that are actually where I think some of our more sensitive areas are definitely some of the most valuable, and that's where a lot of, you know, a lot of beautiful messages come in from Spirit for us through those avenues, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and share with y'all some of what I've been going through. So a little bit of backstory. So I I'm like, how do I even put this? So I have had, I feel like I've had a long life, and I feel like I've struggled a lot, and I've also, you know, climbed a lot of mountains, and so I've not, you know, necessarily always been down in the dumps, right? Like, you know, it ebbs and flows, but the dips are definitely can dip pretty low, and my highs can also be pretty high, right? So it really depends on not only what's happening in my life, but my mindset about it, right? So that's really, I think, the crux of this message is the way that I view the things that I struggle with and the things that I try and do to kind of get a foothold, I guess, right? To keep myself from continuing to slide down into those dips, right? So we can try and make it a little bit more moderate, right? Because we can't necessarily make our lives, how do I put this? Like, life isn't perfect, right? So there's going to be ups and downs. That's just a part of life. but it's really more about how we respond to those ups and downs that determines, in my opinion, how extreme they are, right? So we can kind of try and get a more balanced wave where we move with the cycles and the seasons and, our own seasons and cycles, right? So, anyway, I have spent a lot of time alone in general, and I've walked a pretty lonely path. And it's not always just luck of the draw. A lot of times it's by choice. And so I have chosen to kind of go it alone. I've chosen to take paths that are challenging, and I have done so not just because I am, jaded and frustrated. The monarch butterflies are going crazy out here right now, and it's so amazing. They just keep coming up on my porch and saying howdy, so that was really cool. One just came up and was like fluttering all over my door. But anyway, so yeah, basically, y'all, like, I have chosen to take a more singular path many times in order to discover more about myself, do things differently. I've spent a lot of time traveling alone on the road and in a bunch of different capacities, sometimes working on farms and doing seasonal work, seasonal labor, and sometimes just for adventures and fun and you know what I mean? But it's not always just a great time, right? There's always challenges no matter what you are choosing to do and for what reason, right? So basically what I'm saying, y'all, is, I have learned how to survive. I've learned how to survive on my own, and I've learned how to make the most of being alone. And so, I have been single technically for quite some time now. And, I've dated people here and there. I've definitely like had my heart broken and, had some little romances, whatever. But I have been single and dating for, I want to say, the last like 5 years. And for some of you out there might be like, haha, 5 years, that's no big deal. But no, actually, that was just the last time I had a somewhat committed relationship. But before that, I was still single and dating. So I really actually haven't been in a long-term committed relationship since I was 19 years old. And I'm 28 now. So that's been almost a decade, right? So it's really hard to say out loud. So yeah, that's something that I do carry a little bit of shame and embarrassment around. And that's because I truly do see myself as somebody who is valuable. I'm worthy, okay, of somebody being, passionate enough about me as an individual to be interested in maintaining something with me, right? Romantically, okay? So this is specifically about romance. And like I said, I might pull some cards on this, to be honest with y'all, but I first just wanted to share this because it's really deeply personal, and I do think that people out there can resonate with it, and it's the type of thing that people don't really talk about. I mean, maybe not like as openly, because it was really hard for me to, it is really hard for me to talk about it out loud, because I think especially when you're, younger, in your younger years, your 20s, 30s, whatever, it's kind of a time where that, everybody is like dating and, romantic relationships are like a really big, part of, people's life in a lot of ways, right? Where that it's like, it kind of reflects on your worth, right? Socially. And I know that's really fucked up to say it like that, but that's kind of how I interpret it. And that's just based on like kind of unspoken things. Like that's not really something that people are like, oh, you have a significant other, like you must be more worthy than somebody who doesn't. Like no one says that shit. Like at least, God, I hope no one's ever said something like that to you, because that's just stupid. But I think that people still think that way, whether they know it or not. So if you're the type of person who's been single for a long time, right? This message is for you, really. If you've been single for a long time, or you can never get past like the 6-month mark, you know what I mean? Let alone the 3 or 4 month mark with somebody, and something, happens that, either you, get scared and run away, or you try and find some reason why this isn't going to work and you start to judge the other person and push them away in order to like protect yourself, or you're, rejected and basically like, oh, this was fun or whatever, right? But like, I'm good kind of energy. It's like, so that compounding over time can really turn into a really heavy weight. And that's part of why I wanted to share this with y'all and share this with a wider audience, because this is something that I personally have struggled with for a long time. And it's something that I look at myself as a person, and there's so many things that I have learned to love myself for, and I've learned how to be my own support system. And that's not to say that I don't have friends or family or other people around me who reflect back to me my worth, and and share with me the things they love about me, and are openly praise me and stuff, right? That means a lot, and that actually is a lot of what keeps me going. But I also have, in the past, I've isolated myself a lot, and part of it is because if I don't feel good about myself, then I really don't necessarily think that other people feel good about me either, if that makes sense. Or if I'm ever around people who kind of, I don't want to say attack my self-esteem, but people who make me feel less good about myself, then it's like I feel like I get worried about that, because I'm like, I need to protect myself from you because you don't make me feel good about myself, and I am struggling with self-worth. And so if somebody else around me is kind of, not being very supportive, then I tend to distance myself from that person or those people, because my self-esteem is somewhat fragile sometimes, right? But when I'm faced with challenges and I overcome them, it really boosts me back up. Okay, so this is what the message is about. Is really about the pain of trying to be patient, right? Trying to put yourself out there without being desperate, right? Like not wanting to be dependent on other people for your happiness, right? But also realizing that there's this innate desire to be connected with other people in a significant way, that plays into your daily life experience, and it plays into your story. And having somebody in your life, just a specific one person, you know what I mean, who really sees you for those things, for those struggles, for what you've overcome, for who you are and where you want to go, and supports you in that, and vice versa, right? Is really something that I feel like we all naturally, and when I say we all, I know that some folks are not necessarily romantically inclined, and that's, what I mean, valid as well. But I think I'll just say, for those of us who are, it's kind of an innate desire that I personally, no matter how much I try and unwire myself from feeling that way, no matter how much I try and not extract, but kind of remove that desire from my heart and from my life, the more that I try and deny myself that, and just accept that it's just not, it may not ever happen for me, right? Which is like a pretty, like, I would say is a pretty sad thing, when you start to just kind of accept being alone, and you start to just kind of say, well, if I do my best and I'm working hard and I'm trying to be happy and I'm doing it for me, not to impress somebody else and not to necessarily, attract love, but it's like, if I just do these things, then maybe I'll just be happy enough, or that I don't necessarily want that, right? And to do that and do that and do that, and still not be satisfied and happy without that, and that is just always a underlying kind of, it's like a bird song in a way, or like an underlying desire, an underlying feeling, that you can't necessarily get rid of. It's just becomes a dull ache in your heart that is just, you just learn to cope with it. You know what I mean? Rather than, because I've tried, y'all. Like, I've tried to get rid of it. I've tried to heal it. I've tried to satisfy it with other things. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's, I can't rewire my desire, right? It just is a part of, it's just a part of me, right? If that makes sense. And part of me wishes that I was like asexual. Part of me wishes also that, because it's not just, intimacy, like physical intimacy that I desire. That's a part of it, but it's all wrapped into one package, right? But as much as I wish that I didn't feel this way, it really doesn't change the fact that I do, right? So learning to carry that desire, learning to cope with it, learning to love it about yourself, and to have faith in your future, right? That it's possible, that it's something that, because part of it too is like, and this is going to sound kind of messed up, but I'm going to be really, really fucking honest with you guys, because this is just the reality of the way that have felt, the way that I sometimes feel. It's not something that I like to sustain, this type of feeling, because it's really not healthy and it just becomes toxic. But resentment, okay, I'm just going to say the word and then we'll get into it. But resentment is really something that occurs, I feel like, naturally, but it doesn't matter if it's natural or not. Just like envy and jealousy and all those sorts of things are natural, sure, but we don't necessarily want to feed those feelings, right? We don't want to validate them. And well, I mean, they are valid in some ways, but you can't necessarily say like it's totally a-okay for me to feel this way and continue feeling this way and feed this feeling in order to like sustain this feeling of resentment and envy. It's really not healthy, guys. So for those of you out there who are single and you do feel this way, there's things that you can do, but I'll kind of touch on that in a second. But I want to explain first the feeling that I get sometimes is that when I look around me, right, and I see people in partnership, I see people, you know what I mean, having experiences with one another, whatever, and it's like, here's this is fucked up. Like I said, I'm not proud of this. These are the things I'm ashamed of, right? This is what we're talking about. First off, I'm ashamed that nobody you know what I mean, has wanted to like tie me down in a long time. You know what I mean? To lock it down, make it happen, be serious about me. You know what I mean? And that to me is embarrassing in a way. And I think it's sad that I feel that way. Like I said, it's like I'm not proud of that, and the fact that I'm wanting to share this with other people is like a pretty big breakthrough for me. Sorry, y'all. It's just, but I look around and I see people who I'm just like, I know, I can just tell, no offense, but by people's personality types. And this isn't for anybody specific, by the way. Like if you know me in my real life and you're hearing me say this, it's not about you, I promise. This is about strangers, right? This is my assumption from the outside. This is about seeing people who I feel like, to be quite frank, are just like total douchebags. Like I'm not even playing with you guys. Like I see people together who I'm like, this person, I can just tell that it sounds really fucked up, guys. And that's why I keep saying that, because I'm not proud of it. But sometimes I'll see people who are in partnership or in connection or whatever, and I'm just kind of like, I know that you do not work as hard as I do. Like on yourself, you know what I mean? And on your well-being, your spiritual path, whatever it is, even just what you are wearing, which is, like I said, I'm not proud of this. This is kind of toxic. Like it's having judgments and assumptions and resentments towards people that I don't even fucking know, which is not cool. But one of the things I feel like adds to the shame is kind of looking at people in partnership who I'm like, damn, like, no offense, but I just know that you're just not where I just see, especially like I see these dudes and I'm just like, some of them I'm just like, man, how the fuck can you, how is it that people like you, which is so fucked up, guys, I'm really not proud of this. How is it that somebody like you is good enough for a relationship? That somebody's willing to put up with your bullshit. Someone's willing to show up for you and fucking deal with your shitty attitude or deal with your obnoxious narcissism or like whatever it is, right? Like, but I somehow am still single. Like, right? Like, I think this is a pretty common resentment, right? Is where we're just like, damn, like I I just know that like I fucking kick ass, and I know I'm a good person, and I know that I'm a good friend, and I would show up in a partnership in a solid way. Like the self-worth thing is like, at least like this is the other side of self-worth, is that if you value yourself enough, then you actually start to get resentful of other people, because you're like, well, like, okay, how about this? Here's an example. I'm on this polyamorous Facebook group, okay? And I joined it years ago when I was like really deep in the poly thing, which was basically me just dating multiple people, or me dating someone who has a long-term partner, right? That's always the poly situation that I end up in, is I'm always the secondary. And that does not help with the self-worth and the shame and the embarrassment thing, is when you're constantly put on the back burner by other people. And nobody ever prioritizes you as their primary, right? So this is why poly is something that I still respect and understand, and I have experience in, and you know what I mean? I'm fine with poly. Like I'm ambiamorous, so like I'm open to polyamory or monogamy, but depending on like my needs at the time. And so right now it's like I really need to be prioritized, you know what I mean, and valued, and it'd be a singular like partnership. But so I'm a part of this poly group, and like often I will see people post about how they live with their like 5 partners. And like a post just recently was like, how can you say you're poly without saying you're poly? You know, say you're poly without saying you're poly, right? And someone said, oh, well, I can call, if I yell baby, I need help, then there's a 1 in 5 chance that my husband will come and help me or whatever. And I just had to sit there for a second and be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what in the actual fuck? How is it possible that somebody can have 5 people? It doesn't matter. There's different dynamics. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily in partnership with all 5 people, but that there's this polycule happening where multiple people are involved with each other in different capacities. And this person can yell that they need help at some point. Like I live alone, you know what I mean? And I literally have thought about like, what the fuck? What if something happens to me? You know what I mean? Like it's really sad to me. And like a lot of people don't know where I live either. And that's on purpose. Like I like to keep a private lifestyle. And so there's very few people who I've actually like invited over to my place. And so it's like, I just think to myself, like, that is so sad. Like I literally feel so pathetic sometimes because of that, where I'm just like, how is it that one person can like secure this much connection with other people, and like I am still alone? And it's like not for lack of trying, guys. Like I go on dates, I meet new people all the time, and with COVID it was especially difficult though, because I was like absolutely not, you know what I mean? If I was going to spend time with anybody, I like literally would be like, well, if you're willing to take it easy for a week and not interact with other people too much and like get tested, then like, yeah, we can hang out or whatever, but it's like, I'm just saying that I still try and put myself out there. Like I'm not just sitting here alone in my Rapunzel tower, like, oh, I wish someone would just show up on my doorstep and like fall in love with me. It's like I'm not unrealistic about it. Like I know that I have to put myself out there to interact, to meet people, to, you know what I mean? Whatever. It's like I know that it takes effort on my end. If that's something that I want, then I need to work for it to a certain degree. But I have done all those things. And trust me, I have worked for it. I have more than worked for it in situations where, I think to myself, like, I don't need to prove my worth to people, because even when I do, and it's just, I know myself and I know what other people are like, and I know that I'm a pretty fucking awesome catch, right? Like I at least have enough self-worth to recognize that. But it's like when you put yourself out there and you're vulnerable and you show up and you do all the things, and people still like don't you know what I mean? People still don't want to be with you like that. Like, dude, that hits hard. Like that is something that's really painful. And I have had to accept that everyone has their reasons and everyone has their preference, and like that's cool, right? Like I'm not mad at those specific people, Unless of course they like took advantage of my kindness and didn't ever return it. Like they were fine with me being all about them, but they weren't necessarily all about me. That I don't appreciate, but I still forgive that, you know, because I'm like, well, you've got your wounding and you know, whatever. I get it. I can't afford to carry that resentment, right? Like I don't even have the energy to continue being angry about rejection, right? Like I just okay, fine, whatever. You have your preferences, you have your you know, your opinions, your feelings, whatever. That's you're entitled to that. Just like I'm entitled to that. Like if I choose not to do something with someone, like I would hope that, you know, like that I know that that's okay, right? Like it's okay that people, you know, felt that way, right? It's fine. But what I'm saying is, see, it's like even just embarrassing to admit that people, that I feel, that I felt rejected, right? Because it's like, well, we don't want to admit that other people we might not be their cup of tea or whatever. But not everyone's going to like you. That's fine, right? It's not that part that upsets me. It's just, it's the showing up and showing out part. And so now it's like, I just don't even think that I have it in me to try and prove that I'm worthy of anything from anybody. It's either you see me or you don't. Like, I feel like I just have put my love and my energy in the wrong places. So I'm not necessarily saying that, like, those people were bad people or that, like, you know what I mean, I'm not good enough. It's just incompatibility, right? So I'm just trying to learn how to be attracted to people who I'm compatible with. Like literally, that's my part of my problem, is being attracted to people who I would feel that if they were to embrace me, that I would feel more worthy, right? That it would, you know, heal within me, you know, the wounds of not being loved the way that I feel like I deserve to be loved, right? So I think that I'm constantly attracted to people who are hard to impress, or people who have, you know, a particular ideal in their mind of what they're looking for. And then it's like, I will try and fit that rather than just be who and what I am, and just say, well, either you like me or you don't, you know, maybe I don't even fucking like you, right? Like that's fine too. But this anyway, the pain of loneliness and feeling like you're not good enough, and just trying to be patient, trying to keep your shit together, and just like carry this weight on your own, right? Like just try and live life to the fullest, even when you are like aching inside because you are so fucking lonely. Like it's literally not easy, and I know a lot of people can relate with that. And you know, for all the reasons why I feel this way is like, you know, I know that it stems way back. Like it's not just about romantic relationships either. It's really about, you know, not feeling good enough. And it's like so hard to even say out loud, but it's true. Like not feeling like I couldn't earn, you know, my father's love, right? Like I was never, I feel like, you know, good enough. It was always something. And, you know, so this feeling of just wanting to be accepted and wanting to be held and loved for who I am without having to jump through hoops and try and be, you know, what somebody else wants me to be, is something that I've always wanted, because I feel like I never got it. You know what I mean? At least not from, you know, sorry y'all, at least not from, you know, a masculine figure, right? So that's what daddy issues are, guys. Like that's what that is. It's wanting to make somebody proud, wanting to, you know, be fully accepted and fully seen, right? And supported. And that's just the crux of it. If you just don't feel like you've ever gotten that, then it is really it's just a painful thing that you have to carry and try and heal from, right? So I've basically spent my whole life trying to decipher and untangle, while also getting involved in, you know, situations and relationships and with particular types of people that is really stemming from a place of wounding, right? So this is the whole crux of this message, guys, is really talking about where within us is it completely natural and normal for us to want what it is we want, and then what is contributing to it. And if there's any type of wounding that's contributing to what we're attracted to, how we feel about ourselves, what we do in order to try and ease this pain, right? Where can we look at that and actually distinguish the difference between what is coming from a place of wounding and what is coming from a place of just genuine and innocent desire, right? A lot of times they're mixed together and it's difficult to decipher that, right? And for those of you who are, into like taboo and like the kink world and stuff, then you probably know what I'm talking about when I say that like pain and desire are mixed together, and catharsis and wanting to kind of address, deeper wounding and desire through edge, edge work and kink, right? Is something that's actually like a really powerful tool. And, but it's also just important to recognize the ways in which we cope, right? So, it's like I'm pretty ashamed to admit that like I've been coping, and I've been coping with alcohol, and that's something that I have been really serious about my sobriety. I've been really serious about my sobriety. And so for this kind of weight that I'm carrying, I feel like to become so much that I start to cope again with, addictive behaviors that I have previously like given up, is a big wake up call for me to realize that, I need to figure out how to sustain myself on my own, because I can't depend on a romantic partner to just materialize and make everything okay, as much as I may fantasize about that, right? Or as much as I may desire that, it's just not practical because, here I am, lo and behold, right? Like I'm getting closer to 30 and still, nobody's showed up like that, right? So I can't just sit here and, put so much emphasis and so much riding on that possibility even. So I'm trying to accept that because like I said, it's not for lack of trying or for putting myself out there or being the best I can be. It's like I don't think that there's anything wrong with me. I don't think that I am being necessarily, I can be kind of avoidant sometimes of people that I like, but it's usually because I'm just trying to figure out why I like them, and like I just said, is it because this is a good person for me to connect with, or is this because this person is, triggering within me my own inner wounds, and so I'm really attracted to them based on this wound that I want to be healed, right? So basically, guys, because this wound stems from, somebody in my life who was an important, figure, was not emotionally available, was not a lot of times physically present, right? And was judgmental of me, right? And harsh and had high expectations, right? All those sort of things. It's like, that's the kind of energy that created the wound. So in my, wounded state, it's kind of like, and like I've healed so much, guys, too. Like it's crazy to even still be dealing with this, but it's like, it's a lifelong process, and I'm figuring that out every day, figuring out how to work with it. But part of it is also like, try not to feel sorry for yourself, right? Because I've been feeling sorry for myself, and like it just doesn't help anything. And also it doesn't help me to be resentful either. So I've forgiven, my dad. I've forgiven, his absence and his, judgments, right? But it's just kind of like, so that wounded place in me is attracted to people who are like that. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not even attraction like on a romantic level either. It's just kind of like, I want somebody like that to finally do the things that they were supposed to, which was literally just to accept me, love me, be there for me, right? Like it doesn't even like, you know what I mean? Whatever. Romantic attraction aside, because I know that's a little bit weird for people to understand, because it's not like I was romantically attracted to my dad, right? Like, no, that's not what that means. It's just, it's just wanting somebody, like, because that's the fucked up part, is that because I was never, I felt like anyway, able to gain my dad's approval or love enough for him to stick around. It was like I always blamed myself, you know what I mean? And I know that it wasn't me, you know what I mean? It was my parents' relationship wasn't healthy, so that's why. But I always thought, well, if he loved me, he would stick around, you know what I mean? But he didn't. And so that was really painful, and you know what I mean? In a lot of ways it ties into what I deal with now, which is just, you know, feeling like if anybody cared, then they would stick around. And so the feeling of not being good enough, right? Like blaming myself basically for other people's avoidance, for other people's narcissistic traits, for other people's selfishness, for other people's preferences, even. It's like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. And plus, who the hell wants to be their partner's dad? Like, who wants to be their partner's, like, you know what I mean, healer? It's just something that you can't expect from people, right? And it's even at this point, it's like my expectations are so low. It's like I don't even expect all that, because that's not even your problem, right? Like, this is just me healing myself. And so, you know, whatever. But it really does put me in a difficult place when it comes to, you know, trusting people, even giving, because I've given so many people a chance, right? I've given people benefit of the doubt, and I've let people in to my world, you know, and I've been vulnerable, and I've showed up, and you know, so I've done all the things I feel like, which are like the ingredients for starting a relationship with somebody. And I feel like I've done that with so many people, and it has never worked out, that of course I'm going to self-reflect and be like, well, what's my problem? Which I have also broken up with people and said no and moved on also. So it's not just people rejecting me, like, right? But it's just me realizing, like, maybe I'm attracted to the wrong types of people. You know what I mean? Or maybe, like, you know, so it still comes back to me, where, and so that's a good thing in some regard, because at least I'm taking responsibility. But then on another level, it's kind of like I can't necessarily put all that weight back on me either, because when I do that, then it's like, you know, oh, I have problems I need to solve. Like, I am, you know, I am wounded and need healing, but I can't trust anybody. And you know what I mean? It becomes this very self-isolating type of mentality. And then also on top of that, it's like, well, maybe I'm just not meant to have a partnership in my life. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm meant to, like, walk this path alone, and I just need to accept that. You know, that maybe maybe eventually, you know what I mean, this desire for partnership will go away, you know, or maybe, you know, and it's like, but I tell myself that because the idea of maybe one day I will find somebody that I connect with like that, is a painful maybe also, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like I'm trying to just accept whatever hand I'm dealt, you know, whatever my future might look like. And I try and put my faith in some. Hey y'all, so I recorded that video on May 22nd at 11:08 a.m. if anybody cares. And today is, actually I should check the date because I actually can't remember what day it is. It's Monday, June 7th, y'all. So if you're watching this video, then you already know from the title that when I recorded that video, I really had a lot that I needed to get off my chest and to speak on. And I just want to say that rewatching it really made me realize that I need to post it. And I wasn't able to finish my thought because I ran out of storage on my device. And so I had to stop the video, and I didn't have it in me to go through and delete. There was videos I hadn't uploaded yet in there, and I, you know, so I just didn't have any more room. And so I just let it be. And I still had more to say, but, you know, it was good because it helped me kind of step out of that energy and get back to what it was that I was doing and needed to be doing. And since that video was recorded, I have, you know, been really busy, and you know, for those of you who are subscribed to my channel, you know that I've been uploading very infrequently, and haven't uploaded any astrology readings in almost 2 weeks, it feels like. But time flies when you're having fun, I guess. Time flies when you're working hard, I should say. So, you know, I've been busy in a lot of great ways, though, and there are things that I have going right now that feel really good. And, you know, I feel that me going through what it is that I've been moving through, and being able to share that with you all, like, just in this short amount of time since that video was recorded, like, that was actually a very big therapeutic thing for me at the time, and I didn't even know I needed it, besides knowing I needed to sit down and talk about it. And so when it, you know, when all of that came up, and, you know, rewatching the video, I kind of realized that there, really, I feel like I've gained a lot of wisdom, right, through my pain. And so I love myself for that. And so that's something I don't want to hide, and something I don't want to be ashamed of. And so I'm really proud of myself in this moment, and I hope that you guys are too. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards, and we're just going to see what comes out, because I'm not having a whole lot to necessarily say besides just checking in with you guys and following up on that video, because it, you know, I really feel it needed to be posted. So I hope that you guys got something out of it. And, you know, for people who have walked a lonely path, I think, of healing, and, you know, remembering all the people along the way who contributed to your healing, you know, and taking a moment. And that was really what I was going to get to, of the things that helped me pull out of a tailspin, is being grateful. And so I'm so grateful I get to share that part of the message, because that was the intention of the video. Because when I sat down, it wasn't necessarily just to talk about myself and my healing journey, you know, that was what came through. But what I really wanted to sit down and was talk about the things that I find helpful. And so after implementing these things, and these are just, you know, I mean, I am a very unstructured person, believe it or not. I might seem a little, but I'm not very structured. Okay. I'm getting much better at it, and I do enjoy being structured, but in general, I'm pretty freeform, and things just kind of unfold. You know what I'm saying? I don't plan a lot of things. It's, you know, day to day, I see how my week unfolds, and, you know, that's really how I do things. That's kind of how life does things to me. If that makes sense also. The things that I've been implementing are very unstructured, in that it's something I just keep, Five of Swords in reverse, baby, that I keep in the back of my mind. These are the good back burners, right? And this Five of Cups in reverse keeps wanting to show itself too. These are good energies, because I guess what I'm trying to say is that they're things I keep in the back of my mind that are good, right? Because sometimes we have things in the back of our mind that bother us, right? And so this is kind of what I was touching on in the first half of this video, was really talking about the things that we keep in the back of our mind that are painful, or our underlying desires, right? So our bird song to the universe, right, is this call, this, you know, desire for, you know, and that energy is, like I was saying, natural, and is wired into us, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when it goes unfulfilled, it can be a very painful experience, because part of I feel like our wiring, our purpose is, you know, to connect. And so I think that you know, in and of itself should be embraced, you know, and honored. But it can be very difficult too. So it's not necessarily always great. And I think everyone can relate with that, you know. Ace of Cups, guys. This is great. And then Five of Cups in reverse in the split with it. This is feeling really good, because I feel like this video becoming two halves of a whole. Eight of Cups. Two halves of a whole. Is that what I just said? is actually really blessed because I am able to share with you guys like it's almost like the other half of the picture, if that makes sense, because that's what this reading is feeling like. Ace of Swords, getting that clarity and realizing that, you know, like our journey is beautiful. That's just what I'm hearing, is our journey is beautiful, and everything that we've gone through and have learned, you know, like we know things, and those things will help carry us through our challenges, you know. But so I'm just coming out the other side. Does that make sense? And I'm not even coming, I'm not out of the woods yet. You know what I mean? I'm not out of the woods yet. It's just a matter of progress, right? Just moving forward. And as long as you're moving forward, even if it's not 3 of Cups, I'm just feeling such good. This is like really celebratory, like being able, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm getting a loss for words because I get excited about good things. I really do. And I think sometimes when I get excited, I can get anxious. And maybe that's something that needs to be talked about real quick, because something that a lot of folks, I think, don't expect when things start going right for them, right? When things are getting good, I think we don't know about the anxiety that comes with it, you know? 3 of Wands, when you've been waiting a long time, you know, and you start getting really excited about it. And I mean, like, I think that anyone can, Ace of Wands, Jesus, guys. So I just posted a collective reading, or I believe I recorded it. It will be posted probably around the same time this one is. But the Ace of Wands came out, and that was a really good, that was a really powerful reading. Go check it out. But basically, yes, brand new, exciting, passionate beginning. So being excited can also feel sometimes like anxiety, or it can be coupled with anxiety. This is something I've learned over the years. And this is really because you get, you can either get performance anxiety, right? Like you have something coming up and you're like, I'm really excited to do this thing and it's a big deal for me. And so you know what I mean? So you're like anxious about it going wrong, right? Because that's typically what the anxiety really stems from, is fear of failure, right? If I take a step through that door, right? Like, and that's a metaphorical door too. If I take a step through the door, then that means I have a title or whatever it is. And so now that I have this title, I have to live up to it. And if I don't live up to it, then that can be really painful to fly and fall, right? So that's really what the anxiety is. It's a natural thing, right? But like I was saying in the first half of this video, that Spirit's telling me to look at this card. I haven't even shuffled. Ace of Pentacles. I shuffle between each reading if I use the deck. But if I don't use the deck and I had shuffled it already, they sit shuffled, if that makes sense, I guess. But, so I never pull off the top of a deck that's been sitting there that hasn't been shuffled. So this one, Ace of Pentacles. I'm going to start putting them down because these are amazing cards. But I really, y'all, I do. I get excited. 2 of Cups. Y'all, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, Hanged Man. So, look, it's great, and I hope that you guys enjoy the fact that this is a definite vibe change. Like, I'm not in the same vibe I was when I recorded that, and so now I'm sharing with you guys where I'm at now. And, Spirit's telling me to I'm sorry. The Sun upside down. Okay, so this, yes, Magician upside down. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So, okay, this doesn't mean, oh no, doom and gloom, you're not going to be happy. No. Okay, the Sun coming out at all is a token of happiness, right? So it being in reverse is talking more so about, look at the things that make you unhappy. The hands that are reaching out. Look at the hands that are reaching out of the Sun. This is, to me, saying that look at them, because also the eyes on the pyramids. Look at the things that make you unhappy. So, okay, this is exactly what I was about to talk about. the things that make me unhappy, okay, are the what if, you know? What if I don't succeed? What if I fail? What if I'm bad at it? What if, you know what I mean? What if it all goes wrong? What if I can't, you know, follow through? What if I can't manifest, you know, or be in the right headspace to make something happen good for myself? The Tower in reverse. What if I can't change? What if, you know what I mean? But what if this is it? You know, that's the good thing on the back burner. Does that make sense? You have to get through the fear and the what ifs. I'm like fumbling with the cards, sorry guys. Because I get excited. So really this is, okay, so this is great. This is a great opportunity to talk about this, you know, I feel like, because the things that make me unhappy are the what ifs and the doubt, the self-doubt, right? And holding myself back because I don't want to fail. So then, oh, well, I shouldn't jump in too quickly into, you know, something, right? Like, for me, it's like King of Cups. So, okay, there's like love all in this message too, but like, I'm trying to keep it general too. So, sorry. Three of Wands. When you've been waiting a long time for something, and then it finally comes around, right? So for me right now, I am really wanting to share my music. Okay, and so I'll use this as an example. But there might be a lot of messages in this for you all, so that might be something different for you. But for me, I'll use this example. So I really want to start sharing my music. And as soon as I started sharing my music and I made the intention of sharing it, I feel like a lot of doors started opening for me with my music. And so the possibilities have expanded now, or my desire to share my music has expanded. So now it's like, you know what I mean? I want to share it with a wider audience. And so that's like a really scary idea for me, right? I'm a singer-songwriter, been playing guitar all my life, and percussion as well, but I really like to sing. And so I write songs, and I, you know, have for a long time, but I shared them in the past. We've got the Three of Cups. I've shared them in the past. I've shared my music in the past in situations where people were distracted and having fun. It was like in bars and, you know, on the street, busking, right? And open mics and stuff, right? So people are, you know, distracted and, you know, and having fun and not paying attention, right, to the music. And so that, for me, I mean, unfortunately, in some ways, was not good for me emotionally. I didn't thrive in that environment. It made me feel unappreciated. Ten of Cups in reverse, which is what I was talking about in the first video, right? So that was a wound for me. That was a trigger, okay? To not be seen, heard, felt, accepted, loved, right? So when I didn't get that from people when I shared my music, I think that it, and I have a lot of great feedback on my music too, though, you know, and so I try and remember the people who've contributed to my healing by seeing me, you know, and by caring and paying attention and appreciating, right? And so that has been this is something that I've been experiencing, this, you know, more generous people, right? And the generosity of seeing somebody and appreciating it and honoring it is something that can be very, very healing. And so the things that I'm trying to be grateful for, which Spirit said, look at the things that make you unhappy, right? That's, you know, that's so funny because I just got a message that came through with that. Is that, okay, Spirit does want us to look at the things that make us unhappy, but Spirit wants us to move through it and then look at the things that do make us happy, you know, and keep our focus. And it's so funny, I just had a very Christian thought go through my head. I was raised Christian, and so, but I don't know, whatever. But I'll say it. Okay, so that in Christianity, there's this saying that God wants you to keep your eyes on Him, right? And what that means is, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, you know, it's not literal, obviously, but it means keep your focus on your dedication, and on your path, right? And on the, I don't know, I know it's hard to talk about because I'm just so far removed, but also can still, I've done a lot of gold panning, okay, over the years. And so the things that, it's so funny because it looks like she's gold panning, but no, she's not gold panning, obviously, but like, you know what I mean? She's working with the water, and you know, to me, this card represents being in touch with your divine purpose, okay? Being in touch with spirit, being in touch with your northern star. That's what it means to keep your eyes on, you know, something, really, is to keep it in your focus, you know, and you may be continuing to look at the things that make you unhappy while this burns in the background, and it should really, you know, first off, these shouldn't be in the back of your head either. They shouldn't be in the front of your head. They should be nowhere, right? You allow those feelings to come up and then be like, okay, yeah, what if? All right, then what? Okay, I would survive, right? Hopefully, you know, you're like, I would survive, you know, even if it was emotionally painful or was whatever. Like, I know I can handle it. I'm willing to, you know what I mean? I almost just said I'm willing to step into the fire. Stars are burning balls of fire in the sky, you know? So it's kind of like I'm willing to take that risk, right? And so it can be really vulnerable also, you know? And this person is nude, right? They're like, does that make sense? They're vulnerable. That's the way that I am interpreting this card right now. But they're like, you know, they're working hard at what it is that they're doing. Like they're looking for something. They're, you know, that's just the energy that I'm getting right now. Which is like what I love about tarot, y'all, is that different messages come through the same card. You could have 3 different readings and the card would come out and have different messages, you know, centered around the same concepts, but with a different story, you know. And so I really am grateful for y'all to be here on this story, Justice. So this is about getting back into balance. This is what this is. Because, okay, Temperance. In Temperance, I believe there's 2 cups as well, right? Am I correct? That's the way I'm picturing it in my head. Maybe I'm wrong. But balance, right? So, okay, what do you want, Spirit? What do we want? Switch decks. Okay, this one, because the Ace of Pentacles did come out off of this deck, so I feel like that's kind of... So, thanks guys for tuning in. If you've made it this far and you're enjoying the video, please go ahead and click that button, take the extra step, you know, and subscribe if you want, you know. My content has been evolving since I started the channel, and I'm enjoying the evolution of my channel, and I hope you are too, and if you've been here for a minute, and yeah, I'm excited because, you know, little milestones, guys, because this is a brand new channel and I shouldn't be embarrassed about how many subscribers I have. I don't, but I just know it's a little insider tip here, y'all. Ace of Swords, we're going to keep it because that came out earlier. Okay. Getting clarity about why, okay, because we've got the Lovers in reverse. Getting clarity about why all of the things that I was asking myself in the first half of the video, right? And not just like, what's wrong with me? Why? But it's like, what is unhealed within me? Why? You know? And you're going to see it really clearly. And that's going to make it so much easier for you because you're going to see what makes you unhappy very clearly. Spirit made that very clear for sure. It's your self-doubt and fear of change, fear of failure, fear of catastrophe, right? If you've experienced catastrophe in your life, right, and that can be a multitude of situations can qualify as a catastrophe, right? And so if you have experienced that cataclysmic shit, then it's kind of like, well, I now know that exists and that's possible. So now I am going to try and avoid it. Now it's wired into my avoidance patterns, right? 9 of Cups. Happiness. I want to say emotional satisfaction. Because you're going to feel, y'all, I really like, part of me's holding back like how grateful and happy and how good I feel right now. Because for anybody who was watching this video, like, and you were resonating with it, then it's like, I can, you know, the loneliness thing is, you know what I mean? It's healing from that, you know? Even if you are in a place where that you don't feel so lonely, you know? It's like you know, you're still healing from it. So I don't want to sit here and be like, I'm all better now, you know? Because that's not really how it works. It's just, you know, I see the light of a brand new morning. You know what I mean? That's how it feels. Justice. Fuck yeah. You know? That's, 4 wands. So when you start to get excited and things are going well, and look, the moon, this is about the things that still you have in the back of your mind, including the good things that you keep burning on the back burner. You know, the low simmer. This is the stuff that's going to be really fucking good because it's been, you know, it's been marinating. This is going to be really good. Okay. Like if you're into, you know, Southern cooking or whatever. But basically what I was trying to say was that 4 wands still there. That you seeing this clearly, you are, I feel like that there's new energy coming in. And this energy is generous, right? And I feel like it's going to catalyze and cause you to see this, see where that you have strong, powerful faith and strength, you know, and you have continued to keep that in your mind's eye, whether it sometimes ended up on the back burner or was at the forefront and it was leading your life, right? You have this still. Like this fire still burns within you. You are still powerful in that way. And you're going to see right through this to that. And you're going to get better and better at this step by step because it's going to start turning into a much quicker process. That's what I'm getting. That you're going to go, well, what if something goes wrong? Okay. You know, you don't have to be as sassy as me about it. I can see some of you, I mean, I can feel that some of you probably would be like, oh, the star right here. Y'all, I'm just saying that it's palpable, okay, as well as powerful. This is also, this energy coming into your life, this clarity is going to, I just got, how would I word that? It's going to cause you to see yourself more clearly, see this more clearly, but it's connecting you with spirit because spirit is directly involved in this. Directly involved. Guaranteed. This has fucking orchestration all over it because you have carried a heavy weight and you have been burdened, and this is your justice. And it's not like I deserve this, I'm entitled to it. It's like I don't even think that that's crossed your mind. It's like, you know what I mean? It's more like relief, you know, or like possibility even. Possibility, I think, is powerful because possibility, positive possibility, can open you up and make you more available for possibility, you know? So do you ever notice how things kind of happen in succession? Has that ever happened to you in life? Or that, say you're, you know, you're busy doing about your business, and then it's like one thing leads to another. And then when one thing leads to another, it opens all these doors, and it's like a, you know, a fluttering. Does that make sense? And what I notice is that sometimes we can get excited about doors opening, and we can unknowingly, and I don't even want to use the term because I think that it's, you know, not overdone, but I just think it might cringe some of you guys, so I don't want to class you up. So what I'm saying is that when you get excited, you can tense up. Does that make sense? And you can clamp up even if that's not what you want. You know what I mean? And so that's just fear and excitement, right? And anxiety, like I was talking about. The what ifs. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? You know what I mean? Shit, what if I'm not good enough, right? I think failure kind of wraps into that, right? But, you know. But it's either like because you fail because you don't live up to your own potential, or because you don't show up, or because you burn out, you know, simply burn out, and then that causes you to slip. And so, you know, I think that's probably a big part of the reason why justice is here actually is about balance being so integral in this whole thing. I wonder how long this video is going to be, because the first half was pretty long. If you guys are able to stick around, shoot. I might have to split them in half. I hope not. 10 of Swords. And the Four of Wands. So, I feel like, guys, I don't know. This is crazy. And so you know how I was kind of like, okay, you know, I can't just be like, oh, I'm better now. And so I'm like holding back on like the, you know, whatever good juju is fucking going on around here. So I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, things are looking up for me in a lot of areas of my life. And I'm happy about that. But I also am like, you know, and then there's these little, you know, and it's not just the what if worries either, y'all. It's just a matter of, you know, wanting to stay balanced. So then you like, if that's your primary goal, then you're going to try and avoid things that might get you imbalanced. And what kind of emotions could be imbalanced emotions? When there's too much of something. So if you're too excited, because it's just, I mean, if you've waited a long time for something good to happen, you know what I mean? And for doors to open in certain areas of your life, and then it feels like that could be happening, then you could just get literally, then it becomes, right? Because then it's in something that you are trying to contain your excitement, basically. Or you're trying to make sure that it stays, you know, balanced, basically. So this is what's keeping you balanced. This right here. Because you're like, oh yeah, me, what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And who I am. So then that way, when you're stepping up to the plate for these big opportunities, right? Like say if you're putting your music out there, because now there's opportunities for that and people support it. You know what I mean? It's like that can be scary. But you knowing who you are is going to help you take that one step at a time by saying, okay, I know myself pretty well. So if I'm going to sit here and say, well, what if I'm not good enough? It's like, bitch, you know you're good enough. Excuse me. You know what I mean? You're not perfect. You could tighten things up a little bit. For sure. There's always room for improvement, especially when it comes to music, you know? And that's my goal is always to improve. And, you know, I've worked really hard. So, and just in my free time, just because I love it, you know? And so it's kind of cool that, you know, my motivation for the things that I do, y'all, like tarot, I just did in my free time because I love it, right? And so now it's like, I get to share that with people. Like, and that is the foundation. The foundation is that it exists already as it is. My songs exist already, you know, my song, right? Like who I am and what I put out there exists already, is what it is, and is beautiful, right? And it's taken me a long time to feel that way, you know? So the star's right underneath it with the Tower in reverse and the High Priestess, y'all. Okay, I'm sorry. a whole nother message just came through. Thank you, Spirit. The Tower in reverse coming out twice, guys, really feels like to me, actually, not just, you know, fear of change and cataclysm, because I don't think that's entirely what this is. This is different. It's avoiding these types of cataclysmic disasters. That's what it is. Because I was saying it's not just these things, it's this other thing. And that's what it is trying to avoid repeat mistakes, trying to avoid past experiences, trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid uprooting and, you know, just life changes, like difficult life changes, right? Like the Tower is not necessarily like the World card, right? Okay, the Tower is a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a breakdown. And so if you've experienced things like this, right, then you're going to try and avoid them. And that just makes a lot of sense here. So you're just trying to protect yourself, basically, you know, and that's why you tone yourself down, or that's why you know, are like, okay, I have to stay balanced, so I still have to focus on me, which is so good. I'm telling you, it's good. It really is. But it's, you know, but you also want to, you are just trying to stay balanced. So actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that just like that. I don't think that needs to change, actually. I think that's beautiful. I think that's good. And you see this. I see this for myself.